sees the memes of production, and the like and subscribe button. 1 second, this is an important one. I.e., this is the segment that I said I would send to my editors at the beginning of stream, and it's 44 minutes in, and I haven't sent them it yet, let alone started it. All right, I acknowledge that there are places you can go online to get a much more detailed breakdown of this, but because a lot of people, they ask me like, oh, in the materialist sense, you know, in the historical moment, how does this dictatorship, how does this like burgeoning fascist, you know, system, how does it compare to this time or whatever, okay? And I usually make a case about incompetence, you know, like Elon and Trump. Trump's not doing anything right now. He's just signing. He's just there with the Sharpie, okay? Elon and the, you know, Discord kittens around him, they're making the decisions. I usually make a point about incompetence. Like, okay, listen, however bad things get, running a country is actually really, really, really complicated. It was really complicated 500 years ago. Do you know what a leader had to do 500 years ago? They had to make sure that their like 7 dukes and barons were happy with their multiple wives so they wouldn't revolt, and they had to make sure that enough people had enough grain, kind of, for people to harvest enough grain for the next year. And they had like a bunch of gold in a room, and they had to make sure that gold stayed there, more or less. I think, I don't know. I haven't played Crusader Kings. Do you have any idea how complicated society is now? How difficult it is to run things now? The more unitary the unitary executive gets, the more likely he is to f things up. So with that like overriding theme of incompetence in mind, let's take a look at all the good work that Doge has done. You can see, and now mind you, the articles that you're seeing here, these articles are not going to be seen by anyone who actually voted for Trump, okay? Like not even a little bit. CNN investigates. Doge's claim that it saved $8 billion by canceling an $8 million contract raises questions about its wall of receipts. Doge's team's wall of receipts shows errors in tallying billions in savings. Doge says it saved 55 billion. See, I'm doing the number fuckery now. Itemized data shows far less. Now, Republicans are not going to see this because they're dumb animals who eat up right-wing propaganda like a cow eats grass, okay? However, it's still kind of important to talk about. So my, you know, understanding of this, you know, my like the familiarity with the specifics of their fuck-ups, if you look at these articles or any of the Twitter threads going through them, a lot of which are, by the way, really, really, really funny, there are mathematical errors all over the place, and they're deliberate. They're not fake. Headline number, 55 billion saved. They list the savings per nixed contract. This should be easy to verify then. The first thing I did is add up the saved column for all canceled contracts in real estate. The numbers are 16.5 billion and 0.14 billion respectively. Doesn't add up to 55 billion. The single biggest ticket item is a DHS contract listed as saving 8 billion. Wow, what a big contract. No, actually, it's 8 million. They must have tried to automate scraping the FPDS form and failed. I don't think that's true. This means we're down to 8.5 billion in savings. The next 3 biggest ticket items are all USAID contracts listed at 655 million each, so 2 billion total. Wow, pretty big, except these are IDVs, not contracts. 655 million is the entire set-aside, being triple counted. In the first 5 years, only 73 million was awarded, and only 2 years remain. So we're down to 6.5 billion savings. It goes on for a while. So they lie on every level, basically. They lie, like, they misrepresent what they have cut, and then they lie about the numbers of what they've cut. The details here aren't what matters to me. What matters to me is what happened afterwards, because this is actually quite spooky. Okay, it seems like, and there might be some contested reports on this, but I've seen numerous people make this claim, and it looks like it's true, because I looked on the site myself. Doge, which directly controls basically the entire federal government now, is altering the government records of these contracts to post hoc agree with their quote-unquote wall of receipts. I.e., for that one $8 million contract, they went back and edited it to 8 billion. They're directly altering government records, or at least the public reporting of government records. Soviet actually quite a bit worse. The Soviets kept meticulous records in a lot of cases. Literally 1984. Yeah, more 1984. This is actually really, really bad. Like, insanely bad. Like, do you have any idea how bad it is for the government to lose track of how much money it spent? This could, and I'm not exaggerating here, collapse the global economy. Do you have any idea how much of the economy relies on the presumption that the United States is keeping good faith track of its records and debts? This is there is a reason why in many cases fraud is the thing that puts wealthy people to jail, as opposed to many of the other nasty things they do. And the reason for that is because it hurts everybody. Because if you can't keep track of who owes what or who's what is worth what or whatever else, the entire underlying system of stability upon which massive capital accumulation is predicated, it falls apart. It's, oh, this contract is 8 billion, not 8 million. You say that to a bank. Yeah. Now, I don't know if that was a one-off, like if that was just quickly edited behind the scenes, or if they're doing that for multiple contracts, or if they edited it back. I have no idea if they edited it back, okay? I'm literally just talking, like, again, all of this is being, like, hand tinkered with by 21-year-old neo-Nazis, okay? So we're not talking about a plan. There is no plan here, okay? It's the damn Discord kittens of Elon's. So much relies on good faith, and con men are never in good faith. One thing a lot of people don't understand is that after the Great Depression and after 2008, wealthy people were also happy about, like, SEC reform and bank reform and stuff like that. Wealthy people have a lot of fun gambling up until things crash, but usually after the crash, there's a general understanding that underlying stability is actually really important. Like, very few people win in these crashes. There were some people who benefited from the depression, at least in a relative sense, and some people who benefited from the recession. The vast majority of wealthy people didn't, just a small number of capital holders, you know? You need these systems to be functional for everyone to be able to, play fairly. 2008 hurt them too. 2008 probably hurt like the top 10%, except for the top 0.5%. I'm kind of like ballparking that. But like it's important, like only a very small number of people benefit from relentless capital accumulation. That's the whole point, that the wealth gets concentrated in the hands of a smaller and smaller number of people, you know? The stability is important, is the point that I'm making here. Real kleptocracy. It's worse than that. I'm trying to think of like what a fair comparison for this would be. First of all, even the oligarchs in Russia benefit from a system of rules, regulations, and laws that allow them to rob the economy for all it's worth. Like, there's a lot of corruption and graft and vice in Russia, like a ton of it, of course, obviously. But there's an underlying stability they rely on, because if it wasn't for that stability, they'd all be at each other's throats. It's like how the mob still needs rules, right? You need something. Otherwise, it's just a bloodbath. It's a free-for-all. This is the case back in the old, like, feudalist systems as well, right? Like, there were basically no rules limiting the behavior of noblemen, right? Like, you could do basically whatever you want. You're literally in a separate social class to the peasantry. There were a few things you couldn't f with. One of those being, I don't know, isn't like one of the oldest pieces of text we have the like forged like a low quality copper or something? You can't be like, you know, clipping, and the seer, yeah. You can't be like clipping your gold coins to make every gold coin that's supposed to be worth 1 gold coin actually weigh the amount of like 0.995 gold coins, so that every 1,000 gold coins you run out, you construct and melt down an extra gold coin or what. You can't be doing that. They'll kill you for that. They did kill people for that. They did. Midas Touch directly reached out to the contract holder. They've confirmed the ceiling was 8 million, not 8 billion for their contract. Yeah. Guys, the US government cooking its books is like disastrous in a way that I can't even explain. It's like, I don't even, like, imagine what would happen if people learned that like Wells Fargo or Chase or whatever was just misreporting the amount of money in your savings account, and that for like 1 in 100 people there was an extra 0 in there, and in reality like you had 1/10 the money in savings that you thought. Like, the level of insanity and, like, mass hysteria that would follow, the bank run, everything. Bro, not Elon proposing to give Doge dividends to people from the fake money they're saving. Yeah, they're arguing for this. And again, like, they're essentially, like, misreporting budgetary savings. And the real question is, like, will this discrepancy be accounted for in the actual congressional budget, or are we going to let ghost money keep floating? Because if we let ghost money keep floating, like, yeah, we're literally the global reserve currency. We can't be doing this with our currency, man. Our currency means a lot to a lot of people. We really can't be doing this, man. Inflation? Worse than inflation. Inflation's just a devaluing of currency. This is far worse than that. Suddenly, nobody knows what the currency's worth anymore. Now it's not even a matter of like, oh well, you know, we estimate a 2% rise month over month in the, you know, relative value of no, it's beyond that. I guess what I'm saying essentially is that I lack the education to explain how disruptive it really would be. If the government, if Doge, if Elon really starts engaging in practices like this, the forging of government documents and records in order to misrepresent the amount of money they're cutting and saving, this could, I mean, this would, it could end in like Great Depression territory. It could end in like a level of economic collapse that is basically unparalleled in the past century. You think Elon wants a complete collapse of the US government? I mean, he literally said he wanted there to be hard times because afterwards things would be better. Keep in mind, man, the Depression did not hurt everyone. Some people benefited from it because when everyone gets poor, some people get poorer less than other people, and then when things bounce back, they have more. If you have a lot of money going into the Depression, when everyone's selling their properties, when everyone's, you know, unable to afford anything, you can buy up all of the low-value estate, you can accumulate, and then when the economy inevitably rebounds, congratulations, you're on top of it. It happened in 2008 as well. How does this affect Europe and Asia? Any economic hardship within the United States will be felt globally. There's no historical analog to explain how bad this is. How bad would Canada be fucked? Everyone would be fucked. Yeah, Elon absolutely has a god complex, yes. Well, is this on par with the some of our debt might not be real? It implies the same basic thing. Both of them describe the same terrifying possibility that they would just start nulling debt, they would start defaulting, or they would start like misrepresenting government records to the point where no one can even like determine where money is going or where it's being spent or like how it's being saved or distributed or how much money the government actually has, or like, because, you know, if Doge says it saved such and such amount of money, but it hasn't, then if that gets reported in the US debt, that means that part of the debt is now greater than it's written to be. Like, America owes more money than America claims it owes. And what happens when a regular citizen starts to believe that, right? A guy who owns like 100K in debt is like, well, no, actually, I only own 90K. I only owe 90K. I mean, there are problems. What happens if you default on debt? I don't think anyone knows what happens if the US defaults on debt. I don't think scientists have figured it out yet, basically. Yeah, scientists would call that the happening. Didn't they default like 15 years ago once? No. Trust me. You would know if the United States had defaulted on its debt 15 years ago because you wouldn't be typing on a computer. You would be carving Wojaks into a rock with another sharper rock. All right. Let me send that one over to my beloved editors. There we go. Start buying beans now. That's true. Money may lose its value, but beans never expire. It's one of my favorite parts of beans. I always hated precious metal shills, but buy gold. I don't know if buying gold would actually help you in a situation like this, to be honest with you. I don't actually know what you're supposed to do to, like, prep before absolute economic collapse. I genuinely don't know. Because if there's a real economic collapse, wouldn't some motherfucker just, like, break into your house and steal your gold? Like, the problem is more in the line of, like, social instability than it is just holding wealth. Like, you can't, there's no way to like bootstraps your way out of social collapse unless you're so wealthy that you have your own like private island or whatever. One second, I hear a cat meowing. Must have been the wind. You guys see this?
I'm Andy, and I'm a protector. I've been an officer for over 16 years. In my career, I've worked patrol, criminal gang homicide unit, a Bureau Special Problems unit, and the Elite Metropolitan Division. I am currently a member of our SWAT team for the past 6 years. My specialty training includes explosive breaching, special vehicle operations, boat driver, tech, robotics, and also a drone pilot. With all the training and real-world incidents that I've responded to, I feel very comfortable when it comes to any dynamic situations. This translates to as someone who you can rely on to handle situations appropriately and calmly. A protector isn't just a security guard or bodyguard. All of our protectors are either current or former law enforcement or military special operations.
Sorry, I thought this video would explain the bit right from the get-go. Some guy made Uber, except it's probably 10 times as expensive, and instead of a driver, it's like a security guard in a car picks you up. It's a Uber, but this guy picks you up, basically.
or often both. We are trained in tactical combat casualty care, risk assessment and risk mitigation, and site assessment. We spend our careers heading towards danger, but we are also trained to extract ourselves and our protectees from those dangerous situations. We are available for booking in New York and Los Angeles and are ready to serve you with quality and qualified.
The Rent-A-Goon. This, I think this is a great grift, personally. New York and Los Angeles. The idea, like, anyone who would spend money on this probably deserves to lose money. I think this is in response to executives being afraid of a Luigi situation. Yeah, but executives have actual bodyguards. This is a rent-a-bodyguard, you know? This isn't for, like, super wealthy elites. This is for loser, upper-middle-class Silicon Valley tech guys or whatever, or, like, paranoid upper-crust types in Los Angeles to briefly enjoy the experience of spending $800 on a guy with this thick of a neck, driving them around. You ever just innately distrust anyone who works in special forces who's this muscular? What are you using those muscles for? It's not like you're de-escalating. It'd be one thing if American cops, like, ever restrain people, but you're not restraining you're not touching anyone. You're screaming like a girl and firing blindly into a crowd the second someone throws a rock at you, you know? Yeah, it's just for advertising. Or an acorn hits the car, exactly.
Years with the Los
Oh, they
Angeles
have
Police
multiple.
Department. My work ranged from military police investigations, convoy securities, PSD operations.
I was stationed at the Pentagon.
I serve as detective specializing in digital forensics.
I'm currently a member of our SWAT team.
I proudly serve as a commander in the United States military.
Being a protector.
Actual elite athletes and fighters have very different looking bodies. Oh yeah, basically nobody who works out for practical reasons has a body that looks like that first guy that we saw. This is like a maximizing muscle growth routine, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just kind of funny when, for such a, like, vanity-oriented weightlifting routine to be paired with this, like, super high-minded, practical, you know, like, that's the thing they're trying to push. That guy's taking steroids. Yeah, of course that guy's taking steroids. Absolutely.
Means putting others before yourselves. Our team is comprised of current and former law enforcement officers and military personnel with the experience and skills to back it up.
We're trained in tactical combat casualty care, risk assessment, risk mitigation, and site assessment.
We spent our careers heading towards
Can you imagine being the kind of guy who would order this? This guy's aerodynamic as fuck.
It's called Patrol. Hello, Los Angeles. We made
So
an app just for
shiny.
you. It's called Patrol.
Patrol is an app